Hey, this is Cedric Youngelman, your host of the Bitcoin Matrix podcast. Today's episode with Wesley Schlemmer from Bitcoin Bay, the nonprofit organization building a circular economy in Tampa Bay, Florida, is brought to you by River. River is the Bitcoin exchange of choice for the long-term investor. I have been using River for over 3 years because they are a Bitcoin-only company that has earned my trust through their proof of work. Securely buy Bitcoin at the tightest spreads in the industry. Have peace of mind thanks to their 100% full reserve cold storage custody and enjoy zero fees on recurring orders. River built and owns their own infrastructure. Your Bitcoin is your Bitcoin to withdraw at any time. If you need help getting started or have any questions, River has US-based phone support for all clients. Use my referral link in the show notes to get started and earn up to $100 in Bitcoin. Your Bitcoin deserves the best protection. With Thea, you're in charge. No more fears of losing your keys or falling prey to hackers. Their self-custody multi-sig vaults empowers you to be the ultimate guardian of your Bitcoin. This is revolutionary technology, and Thea makes it so user-friendly and smooth. It's also intuitive, comfortable, and most importantly, secure. But I really like what Thea is doing to make Bitcoin multi-sig just so damn easy, especially for my family and loved ones. Share the power of secure Bitcoin with your loved ones like I have. Thea is my favorite multi-sig solution because Thea enables shared custody, making it a family-friendly choice for safeguarding your digital legacy. And for those unexpected moments, Thea's got your back. Their multi-device vaults with both assisted and sovereign recovery options mean your Bitcoin is safe, always accessible, and ready for the future. Thea is more than just an app. It's your partner in the Bitcoin journey with 24/7 support from a team that cares. Download Thea now using the link in the show notes and get your first 6 months free and experience the new standard in Bitcoin multi-sig security. At the Bitcoin Advisor, I am here to help you get your Bitcoin off your exchanges, simplify the process, and address your Bitcoin challenges, and ensure you feel confident every step of the way. I can help you set up your multi-sig and secure your Bitcoin for decades to come while ensuring you can sleep at night with the right estate planning and asset protection strategies to make sure your Bitcoin is safe for you and your family. If you or someone you know needs help buying Bitcoin and creating a multi-sig vault, I'm here to help. Head over to thebitcoinadvisor.com/Cedric now and put some time on my calendar. That's TheBitcoinAdvisor.com/CEDRIC. The link to set up time to chat with me can also be found in the show notes. I'm more than happy to chat, explain what we do, and how we can help you secure your Bitcoin for decades to come. Wow. Alpa Energy Bars, a new kind of energy bar. Live life untamed. Question everything. Alpa bars are made with high-quality Colorado grass-fed beef, American-sourced fruits and nuts, and nutrient-rich beef tallow so that they make for a great pick-me-up. When I need a meal replacement, snack, or just some much-needed fuel for the burn, and I don't want toxic fiat sludge, I reach for an Alpa premium meat bar. My favorite one is the blueberry almond, but the cranberry pecan might become my new favorite soon. If you don't believe everything you're told, if you break the rules, strive for freedom, reach for your peak, and don't follow the mainstream, then you're one of us. On the Bitcoin Matrix podcast, we question everything, including what real health is. The Chad of energy bars, challenging the norm and supporting freedom. Go to eatalpa.com, EATAUPA.com now and use the code MATRIX for a discount. The link can also be found in the show notes. And now a few upcoming events. This show is also brought to you by Bitcoin Day Naples. The single-day event in Naples, Florida, is designed to forge lifelong connections between expert speakers and all good people anywhere on their Bitcoin journey. Bitcoin Day Naples brings you high-caliber speakers that are only seen from a distance at the big shows, and instead brings everyone together in the same room for a strategic day of vision and action. Don't miss this fantastic opportunity to level up your Bitcoin game. I had an incredible time that last year, and I'm so excited to go this year and see everyone again. Get your tickets today at bitcoinday.io/Naples24. That's bitcoinday.io/NAPLES24. Tickets are selling out fast. Use the code MATRIX for 10% off your order. Are you all getting cold out there yet? Come take a break in the vacation spot for Bitcoiners February 3rd and 4th. It's going to be an unforgettable weekend with the Florida Beef Initiative and Bitcoin Bay Foundation. Get ready for an unforgettable evening as we usher in a new era of prosperity at the Sound Money Soiree. We're thrilled to announce this exclusive event, marking the official grand opening of the Bitcoin Bay Foundation and the grand unveiling of Tampa as the next Bitcoin city in the United States. Join us for an extraordinary night of networking, entertainment, and giving back, all in the Bitcoin Bay style. This soiree promises to be a one-of-a-kind experience connecting the Bitcoin community with Tampa Bay's most influential business leaders. Our event features a dynamic poker table, an electrifying DJ, an enticing silent auction, and a delectable all-you-can-eat and drink culinary experience that embodies the essence of Tampa Bay's finest cuisine. Go to bitcoinbay.live/sound money sound soiree and get 15% off your tickets when you use the code MATRIX. Link can be also found in the show notes. And now, let's enter the Bitcoin Matrix with Wesley Schlemmer to hear how Florida is the best state to be a Bitcoiner.
What is real? How do you define real?
You can't jump into cash. Cash is trash. What do? You get out.
Wesley Schlemmer is the president and co-founder of Bitcoin Bay Foundation. A recovering biotech researcher, Wes now works to build community, prosperity, and resilience in the Tampa Bay area. Wesley, welcome to the Bitcoin Matrix podcast. How are you?
I'm doing well, Cedric. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, man. This is a long time in the making. I think we met probably almost a year ago in a coffee shop in Sarasota here, not too long after I moved down here. And, getting to know you has been sort of influential in getting ingratiated in this community, which is vibrant, to say the least. So, I'm really excited to chat. I'd love to hear, though, and we never really got into this too much, but a little bit about your background and what you were doing maybe before Bitcoin or what your interests were.
Yeah, so I guess we could start back in 2017 was when I kind of first, got into Bitcoin. It was just like investing, on Coinbase. I got, the 5 they had at the time was like Bcash, Bitcoin, Litecoin, Ethereum. I guess the 4. And so I grabbed some with my, my little college, finances. And was doing that for a couple of years. But I went to school for chemical and biological engineering. I always wanted to be a scientist. People in my family had had medical issues. My mom has had migraines for 12 years. So I spent a lot of my, late teens in the ER telling doctors, no, don't give her opioids. No, these things didn't work. I've been here before. I have notes on like my iPod Touch. I'm like zinc, magnesium. Wow, the minerals. She's minerally deficient. Who knew? What actually would help. And then got my first experience with those people being like, "Well, what do you know? You're just a kid." I'm like, "Well, I know this is my 10th time in here in the past couple months, and you guys, I haven't seen the same person twice." So that was kind of my first experience, with the medical industry. And then so I kind of wanted to make drugs that would help people. And then it wasn't until I was a junior, senior in college that I realized that's not what drugs typically do. So there's and coming into Bitcoin as well, that's where, all right, the money is a lie. What else is a lie? It kind of starts opening things up, and then COVID happened, and there was, that whole madness. And so that kind of lifted the veil, completely. And then the trucker protest in Canada was really what got me like, okay, no, this isn't crypto. This isn't trading. This isn't fun. This is like something real here. I mean, and people can quibble all day about how impactful the coin was that got to the people up there, but it remains the fact that the only money that got to those people was Bitcoin after a certain point. It wasn't Ethereum, it wasn't Doge, so I'm like, okay, like this is real. And it was around that point where I'd been working for a startup at the time, but I was waiting for my lease to run out in Boston so I could, run back home. I'm born and raised in Tampa area. So I took all the coin that I'd been trading, with all the plenty of the off time that I had in during COVID. And, that's when I was like, wait a second, this one has a 75% pre-mine. This one doesn't have a supply cap. Like this one's got 21 billion coins. So like reading white papers and trying to understand, because I was trying to trade, and I was like, where's the market cap here? What's all this? What are projects actually viable? Shout out Jeff Berwick for pumping Pirate Coin for me. But so I took all of those after the trucker protests when I realized that this wasn't a game, and YOLO'd it all into mining at the very, very top of the market. And that was how I ended up getting involved with the scene down here. Barn Miner, some may know him on Twitter or in the mining space. I was in the home mining Telegram chat, and he was, somehow via like talking about like electricity rates, he's like, oh wait, we have the same electricity rate. We're probably in the same area. We connected. He's like, hey, I'm going to this BitDevs. Do you want to come? I became good friends with our Ben, Lightning Ben, or Roller Huddle, and became friends with him and a couple other guys that night. And it was just like, boom, like we had been best friends for like a year. We shut down like the bars nearby. And, we started helping him run the meetups and turned it from a monthly BitDevs into a weekly cadence, with socials and 101s and workshops. Fast forward about a year into May of this past year, I'm in the Uber going to the Miami conference, submitting our incorporation paperwork as a nonprofit because I was getting pretty sick of sitting around with the same group of guys, complaining about the same stuff, at the bar. I'm like, all right, what are we doing here? So that was when I decided to kind of take us the nonprofit route. And we got our 501c3 status in November of this past year. Shout out those 87,000 IRS agents for getting that approved a little quicker than we expected. And we ended up winning the Bitcoin games in Miami, so that gave us some coin as a seed round, essentially. And yeah, since then we've been hosting weekly meetups, having sound money, sound food dinner events with local restaurants that don't poison you, telling people what like the importance of like food and like why the money has undermined the food. And then that's kind of all leading up to our big launch weekend, and going on in a couple of weeks right now. So February 3rd and 4th, we'll be having our first charity gala, the Sound Money Soiree. And then on the 4th, we'll be having our first Beef Initiative summit. So yeah, that's probably the most the most concise story I can give.
Yeah, well, I mean, definitely a lot to get into there. It's well, I like that you mentioned that, but I had a very frustrating experience with the hospital systems myself. You mentioned that, you wouldn't see the same person twice, and they sort of wouldn't, appreciate the knowledge that you were kind of incrementally gaining through that difficult process, and kind of giving feedback. And they're like, oh, and just, yeah, I mean, I really sympathize and empathize there. I had a similar journey with shitcoins in 2017. Especially going on Coinbase, which I thought would be the best, most reputable place in America to buy Bitcoin and safest place. And then the way they positioned those other coins, kind of, if from traditional legacy, you're thinking about all of a sudden, just portfolio allocation and, kind of unit price bias, and it sort of equates them as the same thing or something similar. And I have a lot of ill will for Coinbase there. You mentioned Barn Miner. Does he also make jerky?
Yes.
Yeah.
One and the same.
I think he sent me some jerky. It's fantastic.
It's great jerky, and you can buy it with Bitcoin.
We're going to get into that. So, and we also, I think you moved to Florida, or back to Florida for you, but you moved to Florida a little earlier than I did. Now, my parents have been down here for 16, 17, well, my father passed away, but he was here for a few weeks before I got, after I got here. But I'd love to talk a little bit about Florida. So, what brought you back to Florida, or kind of what did you see with Florida and COVID and around that time?
Yeah, so I went to school in Boston, and then I stayed there for 2 years while I was working, and I I never liked it. It was I got out because I like it's too hot here. But then I realized it's just as hot up there in the summer, and the winters are brutal. So
Right.
I was kind of just riding out this startup that I was in. I had a little bit of equity, and I enjoyed the work, so I was like, I'll stay for a little bit. I have friends here. I like my job. The city's fun. There's music. There's sports. And then COVID came and took all of that away. So the value prop of the area completely evaporated. I was living in Cambridge, like in between Harvard, MIT, and Moderna. So it was kind of at the epicenter of the tumor that was, the COVID response in this country. Um, and we, uh, our boss at the time kind of finagled some frontline exemption because we had a laser cutter, so we were laser cutting PPE. It was total BS. But so I kept going to work after that first 2 weeks. We during those 2 weeks we brought some equipment into my basement, so I was able to still do some stuff. But after that, we went back into work, and it was a ghost town. Um, and that part was fine. I was living with my girlfriend and
Mm.
working with her at the same time. My now ex, but so her and I would go to work, and it would just be like us and our supervisor in the entire building, and it was like a huge incubator space. We had like a little area, and there'd be nobody there. There'd be nobody on the roads. So like the ghost town portion of it was like eerie, but like we kind of got to run the joint. But it was when the people started coming back, and that's when things were like, all right, this is just not happening. People are yelling at me people were yelling at me in the streets because I wasn't wearing a mask outside. I became anti-science, even though I literally did my biotech research like with mRNA, like not this mRNA, but like it's a very wide ranging species of proteins. Um, and yeah, it got to the point where I'm like, there's this is not worth it. I'm spending half my paycheck to be here. My friends dropped us because I was like, masks don't work if it's aerosolized. Sorry if he kicked you off YouTube. Um,
Mm.
and the bars were closed, the music wasn't happening, and so it just became, I'm like, I need to get out of here. My parents are sending me videos of them on the boat being like, we're socially distancing, and I'm trudging through 14 inches of snow to get to this job that doesn't pay me enough. um, so I was definitely like keeping an eye on Florida because my family is here, and I would come down as well, but I would lie and say I'm going camping in Vermont, so my work wouldn't freak out. So there was definitely like watching DeSantis and his whole gang kind of uh, chart one of the better courses. Which I don't know if you know this. DeSantis won by 30,000 votes, which is the capacity of like the Lightning Arena. So we were one hockey game of people away from having Mr. Gillum. So it was definitely a near miss, and just watching it happen and unfold, and obviously it wasn't perfect. I mean, nothing was, but I I definitely needed to come down, and I'm thankful in a way because it accelerated my return home, because I wasn't planning on leaving anytime soon. Um, so yeah, and then it's been a shame watching him kind of embarrass himself on the national
Mm.
stage. Kind of wish he'd just come back and finish his job, but politicians are going to do their thing.
Right. Well, yeah, I mean, I did have my first show taken off YouTube a couple weeks ago for medical misinformation, so we'll see how this one goes. But the way DeSantis did handle things, he was a big reason that I moved my family here. My parents were here, but me, one of the single issues that was most important was the schools open and the consistency of knowing that they would be open, combined with the weather. And with schools kind of open, then you kind of have businesses open. And just the more I started to learn about Florida during the process of moving here, than just my experience being here. So I wonder though, are you still bullish on Florida?
Um, yeah, it's all going to depend on who we get in next. Unfortunately, we operate on these 4-year cycles, and momentum can be undone. But I do see a lot of opportunity in Florida. And so, yeah, yes, I am bullish. Not that, yeah.
Because
But it's
I'm
going to kind of,
incredibly bullish. I think
yeah.
it's the best state to be a Bitcoiner. I think we'll get into that, even
We
more.
are we are working on making it the best state. But yeah, there's a lot going on here. It's huge. There's a lot of natural resources. The only thing we're lacking is power, like energy, and that can be solved by putting a couple nukes up.
Mm.
And yeah, there's a lot of opportunity. It's a very business friendly state. It has access to some of the top ports in the world, so trade is good. It's very accessible. Weather's fantastic. The people are beautiful. Um, it's a great place to be. I'm glad I left. That way, I'm able to actually appreciate this, because I was like, oh wow, people do not live like this. This is not the norm. So yeah, no, I definitely am bullish on Florida.
And I think the only thing it also needs maybe is an independent meat processing plant or several of those. That would be great. And we'll get into beef and food intelligence. The other thing is interesting is that people make fun of Florida a lot, with like Florida man.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that even got ingrained in me before I moved here. And the more I thought about it, is Florida man is so random. The idea of Florida man, that like it's almost like the propaganda was like, let's pick the most random, weirdest thing, and
Mm-hmm.
nobody talks about Bronx man or Detroit man or Chicago man, like tearing it
Mm-hmm.
up every weekend, in a much different way. Um, but then what is the Tampa area like?
Tampa area is amazing. It's changed a lot. I mean, it's been one of the fastest growing cities in the country and the world, in a top 10 for the past 10 years. Which I was very proud of, because people were, like making fun of Florida all the time, and I'm like, no, Tampa's, one of the best growing cities in the world. And then I get home, I'm like, oh, that's what that means. There's traffic everywhere, prices are up, a lot of Yankees, a lot of New York and Connecticut license plates. But I think the anti-Florida propaganda is a defense mechanism. Yes, it's too hot here. The people are horrible. It's racist, redneck, and mosquitoes. You guys shouldn't move down here. Seriously, please stop moving down here. And Florida man comes from, because we have like these sunshine laws that like public records, like, or state records are all public. So, and you get arrested, that's public. You're able to, dig into that. Same with like buying houses and anything like that, and businesses. So it's just a function of our of how our government legislates that. You're able to get these juicy stories of, and also, where else are you going to find an alligator throw through Wendy's window? If not Florida.
Maybe,
But
yeah.
yeah, sorry,
I
I
didn't mean
never
to
actually
cut you
answered the
off.
question about Tampa. Tampa's amazing. It's the Tampa Bay area. It is a very unique area, because you have like 4 major cities. You've got St. Pete, Clearwater, Tampa, and Sarasota, all within 90 miles of each other. And conveniently, Bitcoin Bay's domain is at 100 miles of the airport. So we do get down to Sarasota, maybe not quite all the way down to Venice, but it's an amazing. You have the arts in St. Pete. I don't know what Clearwater does, but and you have a lot of cybersecurity and fintech in Tampa, and then Sarasota, a lot of finance and kind of older Florida money as well, and everybody's grandparents. So it's an amazing area to be in.
Yeah, and it also, I mean, we got to throw in here, I mean, Lakeland,
Hmm.
Orlando, and not too far away is even Naples and Fort Myers and everyone else's grandparents. Um, and Tampa also has the port or
Hmm.
ports, and a lot of industry, and is growing tremendously. Um, what is your motivation for doing this kind of work, for going from biotech engineer to not-for-profit operator?
um, you know, uh, God's plan, I suppose. I I just so I started mining, and I thought that was really going to work. Um, but it just okay. So roll it back. Whenever I moved down, from Boston, the sky's falling, supply chains are collapsing. I need to, and Visa is saying we're not going to let you buy meat. Social credit, carbon credit, and I'm like, okay. And I read When Money Dies, the Weimar inflation story. And when the farmers stopped taking the money, the city folk went out and got the food, and it was not pretty for anybody. So I'm in this. I'm no longer in this mindset, thank God, because it was quite dark for a time. But I was in this mindset of the cities are collapsing; they're going to eat each other unless we can keep them fed. And if the dollar is hyperinflating and the farmers don't want to take this confetti anymore, which is literally what they called it back then we need to get the farmers paid so they can continue to produce food for the city. Because as long as the city is still fed, the city doesn't go looking for food. You don't have breakdown. So I somehow had the hubris that I could prevent the supply chain collapse of Tampa. And we focus only on Tampa Bay because there is Lakeland and Orlando, and Lakeland I think actually does fall in within 90 miles. But once you get out, I can't do anything about that. Y'all are gonna have to get your own place, under wraps. And I know Orlando's got some good guys over there. I like the Florida scene, and I'd like to do more to increase collaboration. But yeah, that was my initial motivation, was keeping my home from eating itself alive in the event of continued breakdown. But then I come home and I realize everyone's been partying and having a good time, and business never stopped here. So I'm like, oh, okay, cool. There's a lot less work than I have to do right now, a lot less urgently. Visa is still talking about their carbon score for your stuff, and they are still bandying about you don't want to eat more than 600 grams of beef in a month. So, I want to make sure these farmers are getting paid, because I'm not eating the bug burgers. I won't do it. If it's illegal to eat beef, then that'll be the least of the crimes I've committed by that point, I'm sure.
Right. Well, it sounds like you're building a survival network for now and into the future, and it's got to start somewhere. How much do you think we can change Tampa or the Bay Area? Or how would you compare it to Austin, Nashville, Bitcoin Beach, El Salvador? These kind of other ideas for circular economies. How is it similar? How is it different?
Yeah. So Austin and Nashville obviously have the head starts in America. Bitcoin Beach, Bitcoin Jungle, Bitcoin Nakazi. There's all of these other projects, and all of the projects outside of America, I don't know, have the quote unquote advantage of necessity. The people in those areas understand that they can't trust their money, so they are much more willing to be like, oh yeah, I'll take the Bitcoin, yeah, no problem. So you go to Guatemala or wherever, and in the second or third world, people are taking Bitcoin because yeah, I don't trust our government or their money. Yeah, give me it, please. Here we have this regulatory blob that makes things a bit difficult. So and then you have Austin, which is I think doing pretty well. But they're more like devs and the companies and the VCs, and then you have Nashville, which is like the media. But down here, we're completely grassroots, and we're focused on community adoption. So our focus is the circular economy blueprint for the United States. That's our goal, is to open source the prototype for that. We don't have the devs, we don't have the companies, we don't have the media. So, we're leaning into being the vacation spot for Bitcoiners. Yeah, you guys are building and doing great out there. It's freaking cold out there, so come on down and you can stay in Bitcoin. You can get food in Bitcoin. You can get around on Bitcoin. You can get entertained. So that's kind of our goal, is to actually, provide an area where you can, spend and operate on Bitcoin.
Yeah, well, I mean, I definitely think it's a stunning area, especially with the beaches. I mean, world-class beaches, from Siesta Beach, was the #1 beach usually in the country. I mean, Clearwater probably has a beach. I mean, they don't have nothing in Clearwater.
Yeah,
But
yeah, they've got the beaches, but it's overrun by tourists, and it has been since I was a kid.
sure, but if you're here long enough, you get to find the non-overrun beaches, which
Hmm.
is great too. So, what is going on with the foundation? What kind of activities are you kind of doing to get into the community and build it out?
Yeah, so we've like I said, we've done these business workshops where it's like business specific taxes, accounting, storage. So we had like Joe Wood from Soci Pacioli, Trey with Unchained, Gabe with Block Spaces. So this is for businesses. We have business owners and tools for businesses. And then we have the Sound Money, Sound Food dinner events, which is you know local restaurants. One is called Hunt and Gather because they will literally will hunt food and gather you know
I went to that one
vegetables
with
and
my
stuff.
wife.
Yes, and it was a great event.
Fantastic.
Um,
Great beer
and
list.
yes, yes, no, they're great. They're an awesome restaurant down there. We're looking forward to doing more. Um, And then we are working with University of Tampa. They have a Bitcoin club there, so we've been doing guest lectures and providing internships there, guest speakers, and we're looking to get more involved with the school system. That's really gonna be one of our new focuses this year. Um, I want to start teaching middle schoolers, and because once you get a kid, once you get their teeth into something, and they really like it, it changes them, and then they change everything else. So we want to get more involved with the school system, local school system here. And then we have our business network, I think we're about like 20-ish businesses right now. And it's not the sexy like bars and restaurants, but I got my AC fixed by a Bitcoiner. You can get your roof inspected by a Bitcoiner. We got mechanics, so like we're building the requirements. We have the beef initiative. So yeah, so we say we have food, quote unquote covered. You're gonna have to cook it yourself, but it's high quality, grass fed, grass finished, no BS meat. And then there's the organization called the FBBA, which they handle more of like the policy side of things. So we're gonna be a little bit more involved with them to, kind of offload, that side because 501c3s aren't meant to be lobbying organizations and are explicitly prohibited from doing a significant portion of their work on that. So, it's kind of full spectrum. My vision is kind of to be the brain for Bitcoin in the Bay Area, and what form that takes is going to depend on what the market decides it likes that what we do. So, providing a trusted source of information, especially with this ETF mania now that's coming. Like where can I go to find Signal? Where can I go to find somebody who will sit down and put Linux on my laptop, download Sparrow Wallet, verify the download, set it up with a seed signer, make sure it's all backed up well? Who can I go to hold my hand through this? So we want to provide, stability and resources kind of, in the chaos that seems to just number go up just like Bitcoin.
Yeah. Well, I'm on the website and I'm checking out Bitcoin Bay Farms, and an affiliate of the show is Florida Beef Initiative. I've already had the beef box. The steak is ridiculously good, grass fed, grass finished, antibiotic free. Best steak I've ever had, like kind of compared to a supermarket or anything like that,
Mm-hmm.
and way better. And I don't even mean to say that.
Completely ruined Publix for me.
You got eggs on the website, and then the Bitcoin Bay Business Network. So you got Tailor Your Body Training, Bungalow Beach Resort, Home Access Financial, Bob's Berries. I mean, so rich in resources here, and really building this circular economy. I myself need an intern, maybe for graphics and editing. But I'm curious, how many people are in this Bay Area, and what kinds of people attend the meetups?
So numbers vary wildly, and I never really know, but we got a couple million, around this little slice of paradise. And so who comes to our meetups? It's extremely varied. We get a lot of real estate people, just because that's kind of one of the big industries here. Um, and real estate people kind of, I don't want to say they get it more than others, because they kind of don't, because they still look at it as an investment and, cash flow, like with mining or something like that. But so we get a lot of real estate people, blue collar guys, and a lot of business owners. So most of those people on that list are guys. Um, and I think it's about like 15% of our members own businesses. So, it's we've been really lucky, in that front, because if you keep showing up to our meetup and you get in our signal chat, congratulations, your business takes Bitcoin. And you're in the network. So it's also pretty varied age wise. We get mid 20s to 60s. So it's great. I mean, and I used to do biotech research. I was head in a hood, not talking to people for hours, and now I'm meeting new people like every week. So it's not something I ever thought I'd be doing, because I used to hate people, but now it's just awesome. I get to meet so many cool people. People love what we're doing. They want to help. So it's very humbling to see that people want to be part of this. And I never thought I'd be running a movement, but here we are.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I think the movement is growing and it's powerful. You mentioned Samuel Arms from the FBBA. I like what he's
Mhm.
doing over there. I'd love to have him on the show sometime. So one of the other questions I wanted to ask is this your full-time job? And how are you guys set up? I mean, you mentioned 501(c)(3), but you kind of glossed over a little bit. That sounds like a big deal.
Yeah, it turns out it is. People, it's funny. Like, I never really know how impressive the things I do are until people are like, "Wow, it's awesome!" I'm like, "Oh, thank you." I just kind of did it because I thought it was the right thing to do. Yeah. So, this is my full-time job. I am the president of the Bitcoin Bay Foundation. Um, and I'm often that guy going to people's houses and setting up their computers with them, and sitting down. So, we're pretty much all volunteer run. Um, I do pull a modest salary. Um, and yeah, so we're set up. There's a board. It's myself, our Ben that started the Bit Devs, and then Fabio. He's like a real estate, works for real estate development companies, so he kind of handles the real estate side of things with people. But we've got a board of directors. We have an advisory board, as well, and and we try to incorporate. I have yearly and quarterly review and planning meetings with our meetup. That's this week's meetup. If you want to come to a Bitcoin meetup, you are coming and listening to my roadmap, and a review on how it went. And I want you to tell me what it is you want out of this, because I don't do things unless people want me to do them, because otherwise, why the heck do it? I'm a markets guy. Um, but yeah, so we try to be open and incorporate what people want to see into this, because I mean, I don't want this to be the Wesley show. It's somewhat becoming that, not becoming, but has become that, because I'm the only one I didn't have a job when I moved down here. I thought mining was going to be the thing that would work, and so I had the time to dedicate to this, and luckily I had the savings, um, had the savings to see it through. And so now we have a monthly donor network. Some of our members donate monthly. We throw these ticketed events. We have our big fundraiser coming up. So we do have some money coming in. Number go up has helped in this past year as well. So it's and we still have most of the coin that we got from the Bitcoin games. So we are trying to keep it very lean. Not be frivolous. If I drive down to Naples for Bitcoin Day, I mean, yeah, the company pays for the gas because that's a company trip. And what I want to do with this is be able to, you know, like my life is this now. I don't. It just has become this. So, I want to make this something where the foundation is able to cover my expenses to do these things, so I can go out and meet and do. And I don't and I also don't want to pay taxes to this beast of a machine that uses it to vaporize people all over the world. So, that was part of the motivation for making this a nonprofit, was that way, we could run our life in a lowest tax, burden way as possible. And if that means not making a lot of money, that's fine. I can wait. I'm a Bitcoiner. I live on a Bitcoin standard. I can wait. My money is not being debased. So if I live kind of outside of the city a little bit, and I will sit here and I will stay humble and stack sats. As long as that takes.
Sure. That's awesome. Speaking of all this community building, how important are meetups for people to go, and what do they get out of them? What do you think is so valuable about it?
It's this probably, I mean, and I'm quite biased, but I'd say it's like the single most important thing in Bitcoin. Like, yes, it's digital money, and I can buy things on the internet and have it delivered to my house with Bitcoin. But like, so you can do it on Amazon, and so like all that really did was just change the currency you're using. It didn't actually, yeah, it was a peer-to-peer transaction, so Amazon take a cut of that, but you're not engaging in something. So what the meetups do is they bring this into the real world, and the community aspect of this um, is in my opinion like the most important part of this, because who cares about Bitcoin if there aren't Bitcoiners? And if you're just an atomized individual on Twitter who never interacts with people in real life, like, that's sad to me. And what we have found is that a lot of people come to us and they're like, "Hey, I'm looking for a community." And that's why one of our, that's why, our three things is community, prosperity, and resilience. Because there was a lot of movement in the past couple of years. People, uprooted themselves and, moved across the country. Even before that, people who are religious or not, I mean, the churches have been, losing attendance. Local small towns have been losing population. So like the pillars and the glue that bound people onto shared values or dirt have been eroded. And we are communal creatures, and there's only so much internet and screen time that is fulfilling. So what we have found are a lot of people who are like, I was alone until like I found you guys. And it's really moving when people are like this, like, completely changed my life. Like, I have friends that live near me. And as things continue to deteriorate, knowing people nearby that you can ride a bike to if there's not gas, or where somebody lives if the your phone's not working, you can actually go to their house and be like, "Hey, what the heck's going on? Have you heard from the guy that brings us beef?" Like, Publix hasn't been restocked recently. Like, I can't eat any more pasta. So having that in-person community makes this all real. It makes this something that's different. Internet money is internet money. Which is, I should be so flippant in saying that. But this isn't the first internet money project either. And I think what's unique about this is the community and the meetup network, because you as an individual, if you're being persecuted for something or whatever, you can go to almost any city in the country and find the Bitcoiners there. You can find somewhere to stay. You can find food. You can find help. Um, what are you being prosecuted for? I don't. That's not on me to say. But like, it's creating a decentralized network across the country that allows for movement of individuals and their finances without permission, and with decent anonymity as well. I mean, there's a lot of my guys who I didn't know their real name, and we had done business together a couple times, and I didn't need to know. I mean, here's the QR code, and thank you for your eggs. And a lot of people don't. Some people don't want to come out because they don't want to show their face. They don't want to expose themselves as a Bitcoiner, and I get that. But one of the things that I hope the foundation can provide is, yes, there is the fiat spotlight, searching, and I'm standing there waving, saying, "Hi, we are the Bitcoin Bay Foundation." Behind us, though, is a shadow that we can cast. As if we're standing in front of the light, there is a shadow behind us that we hope that we can protect our people with, or at least allow them to protect themselves. Because if they come after the foundation for whatever, because we don't have the bit license, and the foundation has to fold, those in-person connections don't disappear. It's just the legal structure that was organizing it does. But since we have, we only do in-person meetups. I don't do anything. This is the only thing I do online, our podcasts, because it's that important, in my opinion, that people nearby.
Sure. I mean, that's what's so great about when we met a year ago, and you came bearing gifts.
Oh yeah, you still got them.
So Satoshi globe. That was a piece of art that came out at the time, or it was like sort of anti-Bitcoin art.
Yeah.
And you made this golf
Oh
pin,
yeah.
And you mentioned Jeff Berwick earlier. I got his book here.
Yes.
Controlled Demolition of the American Empire, from the founding of the Federal Reserve to 9/11 to the coronavirus. We've been in talks for him to come on. I still haven't read the book in full. It's kind of a beast to get through. And
yeah, it's one of those things where you read and you're like, oh, and you look up and you look out and you're like, uh-huh.
And so I'm holding, this Bitcoin skull, or this Satoshi skull, or whatever it is, and it's awesome. I remember brought home, showed my kids this, and then we have a 3D printer, but we haven't gotten that up and running yet. That's an embarrassment. But it makes me think about all the meetups, and I have some things behind me that I've gotten either gifts from listeners or that I've acquired through the years, is just going to places and getting Bitcoin art or something. And I want to read your 2023 recap from the president's report to the board. What you guys accomplished in 2023, because I've been going to the Bitcoin Key Club here in Sarasota. Meetup's awesome. We got anywhere from like dozen to 20 people at each meeting. It's vibrant. I love Florida. I think it's the best state to be a Bitcoin. I already said that. But when you count things or look at kind of what's been accomplished, it is remarkable. So 1 business workshop, 3 community service events, 1 family event, 1 Sound Money, Sound Food dinner event, which I went to with my wife, held meetups at least weekly all year, incorporated and received 501c3 status, won 1 Bitcoin from Bitcoin Games. We'll talk about that in a bit. Launched our supporting members network and beta guidance program, 21 businesses in our network, 1 school club sponsored with internships. I need one. Released first round of merch. So, and there's some more actually that I think you guys are working on a wallet. I think Benny is working on a wallet. So we could talk about that. So, it's remarkable seeing how much that happens, because that is a year of people getting together and a lot of work to bring all that together. And I know how much these things impact me when I get to meet other Bitcoiners in real life. So you have the Sound Money soiree coming up. I believe, are you doing a career day underneath that in the afternoon?
A speaker series.
Industry speaker series.
Yeah.
And the next day, I think, is the Beef and Food Intelligence Summit. So, I kind of see this as a weekend. Come to Florida in the winter. It's one of the best vacation destinations in the country, period. But I think Bitcoiners will especially like it. I think you guys should call it Bit Bay Beef, and just make it a package, because I think that really makes it a lot easier for people to fly in, and maybe they missed the first hour, and that's not a big deal. The last hour they got to fly out, but because it's the whole thing, and we'll all be together on all these events, so there'll be conversations and ongoing dialogue, like at any great conference. So maybe you could tell us more about that weekend, because it just sounds awesome. I can't wait to go. and see everyone there.
Yeah. So, we wanted to have a weekend opportunity for Bitcoiners to come and see what we're building, and we can showcase the area, but without having to throw a whole conference. And like I'm not an event planner. I'm just pretending to be one right now. So it's gonna be our first pass. So it's shaping up to be something really cool. We're getting a lot of people coming. Such as yourself. We've got Seed Signer coming to give a talk during the speaker series about hardware wallets and his experience in that industry. So I guess I'll start with, we started with the Sound Money Soiree.
Yeah.
We are a charity. We are a 501c3, so like all charities, we have to throw a big fancy gala to raise money so I can continue to eat beef from Circle 6 Farms, and not just pasta. Although I do have a good pasta recipe. So we started there with the soiree. And at the time, maybe I just hadn't been invited, but I didn't know of any like high class, kind of fancier Bitcoin events. I think since then Unchained has started doing it, which I'm not going to say I gave them the idea. But so we wanted to kind of make it something different. Bitcoiners are all very casual, and I am too. This is the first time I wore a collar in a couple weeks. But I had lunch with with some people earlier, so I wanted to get dressed up. And so that was where the soiree kind of came in. We're gonna be having it at an old bank vault, the First National Bank down in downtown. And then we were wanting to bring in Bitcoin companies, local businesses, and local politicians, so we could show the Bitcoin companies Tampa what we're building here, show the local businesses, local politicians that there is a larger outside industry. It's not just us, dicking around on a Thursday night at the local bars. So it was kind of twofold there. And then, with the speaker series, we're like, okay, we want to bring companies down. This can't just be a party. This has to actually provide value for them. So we wanted the speaker series to be a way for, a company to come, kind of like we did for the business workshop, to justify the expense of coming, because I understand, it costs a bit to travel. The tickets are a bit pricey. Promo code Matrix, 15% off. And, be a way to them, to find an audience and justify the expense. So we're excited for that. We've got a cybersecurity talk, hardware wallets. I believe Matt Hill with Start9 will be coming and doing a talk about home servers. The gentlemen that run the fantastic Key Club, it's a very professional meetup, and I love to see it. I'm very glad they're doing it. It makes me, now I don't have to. They're gonna be doing a talk on asset management, and then we're gonna have a mining panel. So we want it to be an educational series, and that's all gonna be free and open for the public. And then on Sunday, we're gonna be having the first Florida Beef Summit. So Florida Beef Initiative, one of your sponsors, we launched that, I want to say March of last year. Sold $3,000 worth of beef in one night. Had formed a great relationship with Circle 6 Farms. They're a Florida heritage ranch, and they're going to be bringing in more panels. I forget the doctor's names, but it's a holistic health doctor, a cardiovascular doctor, and then we're bringing in ranchers because like you mentioned earlier about the processing centers, Florida is definitely lacking those. We have one that I know of, and their packing machine broke not too long ago, and the entire Gulf Coast wasn't able to bring their beef in. So we were bringing beef from outside of the state, which there's no need for that. We're one of the largest cattle producers in the country. So we're going to be talking about all of that and then butchering a whole cow throughout the day. So we've got a chef coming in that's going to be doing that. Yeah, it's very excited. I met him at Halloween up in Charlotte. And Liz Parrish, Babes Who Bitcoin, she had, she'd brought the chef up there, and she's like, oh, he's from Florida. And I'm like, okay, well, this food's fantastic, and we're having a similar event, so we got to have you at ours. So it was all very serendipitous. Yeah, so we wanted it's going to be a great weekend. I think the Beef Initiative is going to be on the water. There is a Fort DeSoto Park down here. It's one of our state parks. It's a beautiful, it's a big open area, and then we're gonna have our speakers, and the beach is right behind them. So
I love
it's gonna
anything on the
be,
water on the beach in Florida. So
yeah,
you had me on all
yeah,
the water.
and it's gonna be in early February. So if that's the Yankee mind can't comprehend this. Um, so yeah, we're really excited. It's shaping up to be a big weekend, and obviously the goal with the soiree is to be a fundraiser, so I can continue to eat, and then we can sponsor local clubs, because I just want to go around and start bribing them. Hey, here's $200 in Bitcoin. Who wants this? Who wants to start a club here? We have books from the Mises Institute. We have some of our own members who have created primers. We just want to just start, just dropping Bitcoin all over the Bay Area. And it turns out bribing people is the way you get things done. So I want to take our money and disperse it amongst the schools, sponsor clubs, join the Chamber of Commerce. There's events throughout Tampa all the time, farmers market booths, stuff like that.
Yeah, man. The Sound Money Soiree. Let me read this from the website. Get ready for an unforgettable evening as we usher in a new era of prosperity at the Sound Money Soiree. We're thrilled to announce this exclusive event marking the official grand opening of the Bitcoin Bay Foundation and the grand unveiling of Tampa as the next Bitcoin city in the United States. Join us for an extraordinary night of networking, entertainment, and giving back, all in the Bitcoin Bay style. The soiree promises to be a one-of-a-kind experience connecting the Bitcoin community with Tampa Bay's most influential business leaders. Our event features a dynamic poker table, an electrifying DJ, an enticing silent auction, and a delectable all-you-can-eat and drink culinary experience that embodies the essence of Tampa Bay's finest cuisine. Every dollar or Bitcoin you contribute at the Sound Money Soiree directly fuels our noble causes as a nonprofit organization, is tax deductible. Your support enables us to provide free classes and workshops to educate our local community, foster the growth of Bitcoin clubs at local schools, engage in meaningful community service projects, champion Bitcoin enlightening development, open source initiatives, and establish the future home of Bitcoin Bay headquarters. Let's make history together and pave the way for Tampa to become the Bitcoin city of the future. This is more than just an event, it's a movement. And it's at the Vault, which is kind of ironic that it's an old bank. As we sort of tear down the banks or digitize money and value. I want to hear about the wallet and what's going on. I think, is it called Bay Wallet or Bay Community Wallet?
Yep, Bay Wallet. Yeah, so that was one of Ben's early projects. And the goal there was, we're onboarding businesses, we're onboarding individuals, and why not use our own? We're going to be, the goal was to. So I'll back it up, and I'm probably not, and the devs who listen will have to forgive me. It's going to be a Lightning. It's like a non-custodial Lightning node on your phone, kind of like Phoenix Wallet, and then a Nostr client built into the same app. So the idea there was to provide, and all open source. The idea there was to provide a community wallet. So other meetups could, change out the branding for their own. And as you onboard individuals, each new wallet, it already generates you an Nostr pub key. You can have npub Tampa as your pub key. So if anyone notices us on Nostr, it does say Tampa. So the idea there was to have a secure and self-hosted place for our communications with our members. But then also when you onboard a business, like, hey, you use this wallet, it's connecting you with, we have 150 members. It's connecting you directly to our relay, which broadcasts to these members. So it comes with a customer base built in. So, that was kind of the goal, was it to be like as an onboarding and branding tool, for local meetups.
Yeah.
Development has. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
No, dude, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to cut you off.
Yeah, development has kind of stalled, as Ben still works and has been building some pretty cool stuff for his actual company. And then the Apple drama with Damus and the other Nostr apps with Zaps, and like the requirements to actually build an app like this. Steve Jobs' walled garden continues to haunt us.
Hmm.
So it's slowed down a little bit there. But that is something that we want to be able to fund stuff like that. I mean, because Ben has to work his job, so he's unable to kind of do that. But it's definitely something that we want to pick back up this year.
Right. Speaking of kind of getting back to community a little bit, and I think I heard you mention somewhere that uh, Bill Gates owns a lot of land in the Tampa area, and
Yes.
it just makes me think that I mean, again, I don't think of Bitcoiners as this like label or real group. I mean, communities are real, but the idea of a Bitcoin is just everyone comes to Bitcoin for different reasons, and I think the one thing that kind of maybe connects us all is the search for truth and the value of truth. But it doesn't mean we all agree on everything or would agree on anything besides Bitcoin. But I didn't really hear about that before. I don't know if you have any sort of thoughts or takes there before.
Yeah. So Water Street is one of the new developments in Tampa. So that's like where all of the 5-star hotel or the 1 5-star hotel and all the new restaurants and the walkable area and the smart city and the billboards and like this little things on the side of the road you can take your pictures at with your friends. It's so cute. That was a joint partnership with Bill Gates and Vinnick, the owner of the Tampa Bay Lightning. Vinnick, it was Vinnick, and then Washer Tampa, and then it was like 3 shell companies away from Bill Gates. But now Vinnick is out, so it's just Bill Gates that owns it all. So I know Bitcoin's for enemies, but those men have to like them, and
Mhm.
it's not. I don't like it. I don't like it. I don't like the smart cities, trope. I used to think it was really cool. I'm like, oh wow, yeah, self-driving cars and 5G and all of that. Like this is all gonna be, and it would be cool if it wasn't like a tool for panopticon and data harvesting. Like, oh, look at the street lights; they're so efficient. When no one's coming, the light turns green for me, and I don't have to wait. But you're being real time, like monitored, the entire way. So uh, not a big fan of that, but the people are. The people love their new
Mm.
restaurants. They love the little walking areas. Um, yeah, so it's still in development. Phase one's complete. New hotels, new apartment buildings. They're all luxury apartments. The pods aren't going to be ugly, you guys. They have to.
Mm.
But
Mhm.
it's jacked up. The prices and the traffic and the amount of Yankees in the area. So not a huge fan. The food is good though. I will give them that. Probably a seed oils in it though, if I had to guess.
Yeah, and I think we're seeing this and I say this in quotes, the Bitcoin community, but communities, we have to be careful who roams amongst us,
Yes.
and who we are connected to, and we have to figure that out somehow.
Mhm.
Not just in Bitcoin, in anything in life, and communities need to be vigilant, um, and on guard in some ways. Um, and I say this, today, uh, the Bitcoin ETFs were approved. So I think 11 will start trading tomorrow. And this won't come out for a few more days. So it'll be, that'll be old news by the time this comes out. But I ask in the sense that how does the approval of a Bitcoin ETF impact your community education and outreach and community building? Like, what is it? What do you think that's going to do for an organization like yours and connecting with the community members?
Yeah. So for the organization, I would say it's mostly positive. Um, Number goes up. We have more operating capital. They're going to start advertising, so more eyes are going to be on it. People want to learn and they'll be Googling Bitcoin. And if they're nearby, they'll find us. So, it might bring back in the bull market. Everyone's bags get pumped. But like, I don't want my enemies to hoard Bitcoin. BlackRock is, I will say it's a force for evil in the world. Whether that's due to incentives, regulation, or what. They bought up 25% of all of the single family homes that were on the market, 2 years ago. They're not good guys. We shouldn't, just because like we have the Second Amendment doesn't mean we should like it whenever the people who say they want us dead are stockpiling ammo and guns. So I'm not a fan. And also, the plebs don't get to stack as much, and you can say you had 15 years to do it, but not everyone knew, not everyone had the resources, and so I'd rather it didn't happen. It is happening. It did happen now. So the positives of that will be we have more capital, we have more purchasing power, and we'll have more members. And it's gonna be crazy, So I kind of was enjoying building in the bear, because we started. I moved. So when I moved back down late 21, that was the top of the market. I YOLO'd everything I had into miners, tip top of that market. Those machines are down like 99%. It's kind of tough, but I'm here now because of that. And then just throughout the bear, it was quiet. The people that were coming were real. They wanted to learn and understand, and they kept coming back. And it wasn't crazy. We hit 30K. We had 50 people at our next meetup. We went back down to 28. We were back down to our usual 15. And those are my guys. And I love them. So it's going to change things, because when you have 50 people at a meetup and you only have 15, your guys are outnumbered. And why are these people here? Is it because they want to learn, they want to invest, they want to trade? And I need to be more optimistic about things and see the positives. So for the organization, I think it will be good because it lends legitimacy as well. Like, we are a Bitcoin company, but now so is BlackRock. So, it probably on the regulatory side, unless they use this as an excuse to be like, you don't need to have self-hosted wallets because you can host it with you can hold your Bitcoin in BlackRock's ETF, which I could see. I mean, these people are, lizards. So, it's a mixed bag. But hopefully, through our legal structure, we can mitigate the downside for our members and double down on the positives with the new crop of the new class that's going to be created by this.
Yeah, I mean, it's gonna be fascinating to watch. I'm still trying to think adversarially. I don't know how the market's gonna react to this. I mean, I heard someone saying today that gold took about a year to move after the approval of the gold ETF, and then the next several years was what was really crazy. I do love bear market Bitcoin and bear market Bitcoin Twitter. The show was born in a bear market, and even if I've been in Bitcoin since 2017, and I've seen, let's call it, 3 parabolic runs, but they were very short and sweet, and they're so you spend more time watching Bitcoin go sideways or down. It's really the big moves that drive it up. And so along that line, I think about Bitcoin more about, not so much as timing the market, but more time in the market. But I wanted to ask you, do you think the next 5 years will be easier or harder for Bitcoin? Where are we in the then they fight you stage? Because everyone's really excited about this ETF, and not that question's about the ETF.
Yeah, I think everyone's, just kind of put that part to bed. I think everyone's excited for the ETF because they're excited for the number to go up again. I think a lot of them probably got in at 60 and they're looking forward to like being in the green, which is short-sighted in my opinion. But it's Twitter. Where are we in the then they fight you stage? I think maybe end of the first inning. There's already been seizures of Bitcoin throughout the past couple of years. There's the Bit license in New York. They're trying to bring one to Florida, which would strangle what we're doing in the crib. Because good luck onboarding a business if they're gonna have to get a license to do it. And you have the senators like Elizabeth Warren, who's essentially just a rage bait machine for the Senate. I don't think we've really started to see it yet. They haven't really lashed out with the full force that they can. But also, Bitcoiners need to realize that Bitcoin was a $500 billion market cap item, as an asset. It's more now, obviously. I think like 52 is like the 1 trillion level. But Apple's market cap is bigger. Like there are companies in America that have bigger market caps than Bitcoin for now. And so I don't think we've gotten a ton of attention, a ton of focus on the federal level, because there are, banking collapses. There are, megacorps that have larger market caps that impact orders of magnitude more people's lives than Bitcoin does right now. So I don't think the eye of Sauron has like kind of glanced over every now and then, just to kind of see what's going on, and you can kind of feel it when it does, but we haven't, in my opinion, and maybe we never do, because a dying empire has other problems. I don't think we've seen the full, that laser focus of the Fed that can burn through just about anything quite yet. And I don't know what that's going to look like. I don't know when that happens. And maybe this ETF, unless they use it as that cudgel to say, hey, you have this legal option to use your Bitcoin stuff, unless they use it like that, then I can see this being a negative thing. But if there is a positive aspect of the world's largest asset managers, it's probably much more likely they will lobby to make not holding the Bitcoin in their ETF illegal than they would to lobby against Bitcoin stuff. So, yeah, I don't know. I think we're early. In the then they fight you stage.
I think we're early in everything.
Yeah.
I did tweet out today, FYI, Bitcoin is best used as a tool to get far away from Wall Street, not closer to it.
Mm-hmm.
Just saying. And I'm aware that Bitcoin provides way more value than just number go up or anything like that. But at the same time, it is, so it's not just about getting away from Wall Street and financialization and a different way to make money, but just even the ethos is about, kind of anti-Wall Street, I think. And that's baked in. Sort of the chancellor's on the brink of another bailout.
Right.
But talking about, sort of Wall Street, BlackRock, I think, I don't know. I think this is a reputable report or sort of validated, but that they came out with a report about a year ago that, your allocation should be about 85% to Bitcoin. And so I was wondering, how much do you think people should be allocated to Bitcoin if they already believe in it? And, should I be, DCAing into Bitcoin every 5 seconds?
No. DCA, I think Bitcoiners have like misunderstood that term to be daily cost average and not dollar cost average.
But we hate dollars. Okay.
Right. And I mean, some of my guys have done like hourly buys that they withdrew to their wallet immediately. So like now, like I'm helping like a guy with like a 200 UTXO set, trying to consolidate that. So yeah, no, like those micro buys, it's good marketing for those services. But how much people allocate, I mean, if you're a young single guy with nothing to lose like me, I'm all in. But if you have a family or run a business and you can't take that volatility, 85 might be the upper bound of what you'd want to do. I mean, obviously, I'm not a financial advisor, and I can't, speak to that. But you definitely, like if you run a business and you need to make payroll and Bitcoin dumps 40% on you, I mean, like that's gonna hurt. It hurt me, when I was, I think I was buying like daily, and Bitcoin Twitter, forgive me, on Swan, for a while, up and down the 60 curve. I don't anymore. But um, when my net worth was cut in 60%, it hurt. But no one counts on me, so I'm able to do that. So yeah, I mean, 85 might be good. I mean, I as much as possible, I would say. People like, I can't afford Bitcoin. I'm like, you can't afford not to have it. Your your dollar is going to zero. It's like trying to store your wealth in ice cubes. I mean, yeah, you can refrigerate your safe, but it's they're gonna melt, or you're gonna spend more to keep them from melting, than they're worth. And so that's why I've always been having to be turned into a trader, to play the stock market, or their 401ks or whatever, because you have to do something to keep your money growing. Your money has to work for you. No, it doesn't. That's not, money doesn't work for you. You use money as a tool. Like, do your hammers work for you, or do you work the hammer? So yeah, it's gonna be very interesting living in an inflection point.
Along those lines, is Bitcoin personal for you?
What do you mean?
I mean, this mission, is it very Bitcoin specific, or is it much more than that? Or
Mhm. Yeah. Yeah. I don't care about Bitcoin per se. It's not the end. It's the means to the end. All it is better money. Like, you still have to produce value with that money, but now you can't get cheap debt to, game the system. Like, if you're going to borrow 1 Bitcoin to start a venture, that venture better produce more than the Bitcoin value appreciated. Otherwise, you're underwater. And I no, yeah, no, I try not to make Bitcoin my personality. But it's quite difficult whenever I start talking with somebody at 9 in the morning, and here we are at 9 o'clock at night. But yeah, and I think it's become a lot of people's personalities, being a Bitcoiner. And like, I am in this for a prosperous and resilient community. If Bitcoin is the best tool for that, which it has been, then that's what we're going to use. We use Bitcoin as our lightning rod to bring people in. But honestly, at the meetups, we don't really talk about Bitcoin all that much. Yeah, there's like, we have our bit devs, and then we have the workshops. But what we do is we talk about what we're doing in the community. Like, what businesses we want to support, schools we want to educate. And obviously that is, talking about Bitcoin, but we do, what is money? Like, how does the state work? What's the history of the Federal Reserve? So Bitcoin's a Trojan horse for the rest of our content. And if there was a better money tomorrow, that had the same, that the network effect grew to such a point that it was rivaled Bitcoin, and it was somehow better money. I couldn't think of a way to make it better. I mean, other than like the privacy side of things, but there are privacy tools on Bitcoin. Then that would be what we use. Like, I'm not married to this. I'm not married to the orange coin. It's just, I think, our best available tool to build a better future with.
Yeah, I mean, I hear everything you're saying. I think of it along the lines of, for me, when I was growing up, and I'm talking about my teens and my 20s, which was a little bit ago. Music was the cultural thing that brought a lot of like-minded people into my orbit.
Mm-hmm.
So we would discuss, what is music? What is cool, what is right, what is good, what is valuable. And to your point though, we didn't always talk about music. Maybe we'd geek out and talk about like who had the best beats, who was the best rapper, who was best on the guitar, who was best drummer, who had the best concept album. But the conversation always went further. But the like-mindedness came from sort of a common set of interests and values.
Mhm.
Now, if music is sort of the reference for morals and values, that doesn't always last your whole life, especially if you change your choice in music, or your music evolves, or you don't always agree with the artists and their values and morals as they. But Bitcoin's a little bit different in that regard. But I see it in a similar way of that, like, it's bringing people together. And so sometimes you talk about Bitcoin, you talk about Bitcoin related things, and that's an opportunity to talk about those things because no one else will talk about them with you. But then that's the cultural opportunity to build the community and go into everything else.
Mhm.
And it's one of the reasons I started the show. It's like Bitcoin just is a lens on everything. And I wanted to talk to other people that were chasing down these ideas, and so I get what you're saying though, is like we're trying to, because I don't like to be labeled or be a part of any group or community, but or make it my personality. But in a lot of ways, it's become a part the way hip hop was maybe when I was growing up, or indie rock. I used to love indie rock, and different things because it was a way to self-identify, or sort of project morals and values, or to relate to people, or communicate, message, meme, whatever. So I find that part of it, really interesting. I want to ask you, as a community builder, former biotech engineer, now community builder, do you think politics are important? And I'll double that up with, do you think we can fix the world with national elections?
No. This to the second question. Politics is extremely important, but local politics are what's important. Whether the clown has a red wig or a blue wig or an orange one, um, it's still a circus. I think in order for things to change on the national level, and can we fix the world at the national level? One group, the losers of whoever the person is that wins, has to be made to lose. Like it's not gonna be pretty to actually have like a definitive, like, we're changing. Like, what we've been doing for the past 20, 50, 60 years is done. Like, we are dramatically changing the way things work here. And that means a large swath of people are on the short end of that stick. So barring somebody with the political will and capability of disenfranchising tens of millions of people, I think national politics is a losing game. State politics and local politics are vastly more important to your daily life. Obviously, there's federal regulations around stuff like the money that, if those things could get loose, it would make my job and our lives easier. But the enforcement of that comes down to the state and local level. So if you have a friendly governor, like we do for now, um, we have a lot more opportunity here. And it's a lot easier for a governor to, make drastic change because instead of disenfranchising tens of millions, it's maybe hundreds of thousands. And then you get to the local level, your mayor, your county commissioners, your sheriff. Every Bitcoin meetup needs to have a relationship with their sheriff. Your sheriff is the only constitutionally elected law enforcement officer in the land. Not the Tampa Police Department or the Sarasota Police Department, the Hillsborough County Sheriff and the Manatee County Sheriff. So any meetup organizers out there, invite your sheriff, shake their hand, shake your rancher's hand. Know who provides you food, who provides the law, who provides the power. Local politics is winnable as well. The city, one of the city commissioners for Tampa, there was a race. I think the total votes cast was like 5,500. and the spread on the loser was like 1,400. So we have 150 members right now, in a bear market, and there's millions of people around us. So if we're the brain for Bitcoin in the Bay Area, and we're like, hey, this commissioner is coming to our meetup and is pro Bitcoin, you can put your finger on that scale. So politics is important. Politics is the language of power. That might be very right wing of me to say, but just because, I know that a lot of Bitcoiners are libertarian and anarchist, and I was for 10 years, and then they stole the country from us like that. The state does things, but organizing locally, like your school board, if you have kids and you don't like what's going on at the schools, get with the other parents, push them out. They might only get like 400 votes total, and they might be running unopposed. You'd be very surprised the amount of positions that run unopposed. So, and it's, oh well, politics is a dirty game. Like, yes, it is. It's a dirty world, and it's not for everybody. So I'm not going to tell everybody to go run for city commissioner, but there's probably somebody in your meetup that would be good for it. And maybe it's not you, but maybe you're probably good at something else. So like, I just say, like, kind of be good at the things you're good at and like lean into it. And if somebody in your meetup is running for politics, don't call them a dirty statist. Support them because they're your guy. Like, it doesn't really matter like what form of government you have, as long as your friends are the ones who are running it. Which I've never run for politics or anything like that, and people are like, oh, you should be mayor. I'm like, you keep your mouth shut. Do not wish that on me. I don't want to do stuff like that. But I understand the necessity of it, and the power that comes from, if you have a county commissioner that's a Bitcoiner, your county is going to be way more Bitcoin friendly than the one next door. It's just how that's going to work, So I would ignore national politics. I mean, you can go cast your vote if you want, but don't make that oh, it's so over. Oh, we're so back. Like, it don't look to DC to fix your home. Look to the people who are directly in charge of your zoning laws. You don't want more people moving in? Make it so high density housing is not allowed nearby. Like, it's not sexy, being a city commissioner or whatever, but that's what impacts you, not Elizabeth Warren screeching in Congress.
Well, they say Parker Lewis is going to be the mayor of Austin. So maybe
Okay.
Wesley Schlemmer is going to be the mayor of Tampa.
If Parker does mayor, then I will.
And we're trying to get Parker on the show, so maybe you guys could tweet at him. I'm on BitcoinBay.live, and I'm on the Our Values page. So I want to read this. At Bitcoin Bay, we are dedicated to cultivating a close-knit family of individuals, united by the values of character, community, and excellence. Our mission is to drive education and innovation in Bitcoin while fostering an environment of integrity and moral conduct within our community. Together, we strive to build strong bonds and establish the foundation for a thriving Bitcoin economy in the Bay. We believe that every individual has a significant role to play in this transformative movement, and we encourage everyone to leverage their God-given gifts and abilities to contribute to our shared mission. Through comprehensive education and outreach efforts, we aspire to empower the millions of individuals in the Bay with knowledge about Bitcoin and its vast potential. Additionally, we are committed to spearheading the development of a blueprint to share with others to shape the landscape of future generations. As members of Bitcoin Bay, we embrace a code of ethics that upholds the highest standards of conduct, creating a supportive environment and ensuring the well-being of our community. We take pride in having a high-trust community, and we maintain a zero-tolerance policy towards those who seek to exploit or harm our members. Within our community, we encourage the prioritization of services provided by fellow members, promoting collaboration and mutual support. Whether it's sharing knowledge, skills, or resources, we believe in the power of our collective strength. We aim to foster an interconnected network where the needs of our community members are met through the expertise and support of one another. Recognizing the responsibility we bear as representative of Bitcoin Bay, we understand the importance of presenting ourselves well in public. By embodying the values of integrity, productivity, and service, we will dispel misconceptions surrounding Bitcoiners. We are determined to demonstrate our commitment to improving our community and helping others, thereby establishing ourselves as upstanding members of our local areas and showcasing the value Bitcoin brings to society. At Bitcoin Bay, our mission extends beyond the establishment of a mere meetup network. We aspire to shape a future where Bitcoin's potential is fully realized, supported by a strong and united community driven by our shared values. Join us in our journey to transform the monetary layer of society. I also noticed in your strategic vision, there's a lot of code of ethics around meetups, how they're conducted, and how people are, to conduct themselves and have integrity in the community. I think this is fantastic. My final question for you is, if you could orange pill anyone in the world, who would it be and why?
Ooh. Anybody in the world? Probably my dad.
It's a good one.
Yeah. I've been trying and trying and trying since we were done at $3,000. Got the Bitcoin standard, all that, and why is because I am selfish and I want my family to have more Bitcoin. But he's just he's kind of an older. He's one of the last of the boomers, and I guess just doesn't really get it. Which is interesting because he started a cell tower construction company like when the first cell phones were coming out. So he was kind of on the cutting edge of tech back then, and his business partner at the time was like, "No, we need to focus on landlines." And he went against his parents, his business partners, and everyone at the time to start the cell tower construction company. And who has a landline still? But probably for maybe like a more fun answer would be the Secretary of Treasury, not Yellen. Whoever comes next, she sucks. But like, I think what could be an interesting way for America to maintain its hegemony, which is that a good or bad thing is probably a whole other half an hour. But if the United States were to recognize the fact that the dollar is going down and that Bitcoin is perfect money, at least for the nation state, the Machiavellian move would be to just start printing and buying Bitcoin. And like, yeah, it's gonna, bring that inflation curve rushing forward. But if your mandate is to maintain the United States supremacy, and other people's currencies be damned, the government could stack a lot of coin that way. It would cause a lot of problems, but it would, some people prefer accelerationism, some people don't, but that certainly would be, and probably a little bit more fun mental exercise than Wesley's dad buying Bitcoin.
Oh man, there's nothing like orange pilling your parents. My parents, my brothers are 9 and 12 years older than me, so my parents are quite a bit older than me, and they're my mom's 82, I think now, and she's definitely been orange pilled. My dad, I think really got it before he died. He didn't get the Bitcoin thing. I think he just got the scarcity thing and sort of the I don't know. And when he was dying in the hospital, it's amazing how he held on to his OCD. And even the most mundane things were important to him, like, pick the socks up off the floor, like, Dad, you're in your final hours here, but
Yeah.
but I had moved to Florida and I was eating into savings to do that. And my dad kind of had two thoughts for me, on his deathbed. Was one like it was weird. He's like, you didn't sell any Bitcoin, did you? I don't have a big stack, but he was concerned. Like, just
Yeah.
whatever you're doing, I get you have some other fiat savings. Just don't mess with your stack. It was weird. And he just kind of really, and then he was like, I think you need to get a job. And, and that was like, oh, that was a wake up call. And I was like, I think you're right, Pop. Like, and when he passed away, I got a job, and but it's nothing like orange pilling your parents or your loved ones, and I have older brothers. They'll never take advice from a younger brother, uh, even if they agree.
Mhm.
But so yeah, and that's why I'm always surprised when people don't give more of that answer to who would you orange pill, like my dad, my mom, like my brother, like the people, the people closest to you. So,
Mhm.
Wesley, this has been incredibly dope. I've loved chatting with you. I love what you're doing, and we'll be working a lot together. So, I can't wait for the Sound Money Soiree. And for everyone else, if you're not in Florida, get your ass to Florida in the winter. It's just fantastic down here all year round. I love the summer here. I love summer, and like you said, it's not much different than up north. It's hot and humid, but I love it. Beach days every day instead of maybe
Mhm.
just Mondays after a rainy weekend in July. When you got
Right.
8 of them to make it to the beach. So I'll leave it to you for any parting words and to let people know where they can find you. Your work and everything about
Mhm.
Bitcoin Bay.
Yeah, so I mean, you've run through more of our website than a lot of people have, so I appreciate you have me on and sharing all of that. So yeah, our website is bitcoinbay.live. .com is an online sports gambling website. Um, they're that URL is not open until 2025, so maybe we'll try and buy it from them then. But not .com, .live. You can reach me at Wesley at bitcoinbay.live. Our Twitter is at bitcoinbaytpa for Tampa. Um, also me and probably Fabio. So yeah, we're very open and love to talk to people. If people need help with self custody, we have a self custody guide. Like we aim to serve. That's one of our values is service. So final thought: get to a local meetup. If you have not been to your local meetup, get out to it. The in-person community aspect of this is the best part. You meet a group of people with a shared value set, a similar outlook, understanding of very like deep and crucial issues. It's it's difficult to find that in meet space. So yeah, get out in the real world, get off Twitter, get on Noster, and get down to Florida. Yeah, we would love to we'd love to showcase what we're building here. Especially February 3rd and 4th for um, our events. And if you get your tickets through our website on bitcoinbay.live, if you get the ticket for the soiree and the beef initiative, it's $100 off if you bundle them together. And you use promo code Matrix for 15% off. And we really hope this is going to be a successful event because I would much rather be providing value and building than begging for money and throwing fundraisers. We don't want to turn into the Clinton Foundation here. But yeah, and other than that, no, I really appreciate this conversation, Cedric. It's always good to talk. But how have you been acclimating to Florida? It sounds like you've been loving it. It seems like it's
I'm
treating
like
you
a
well.
pig of shit, man. This is great. Summer, endless summer, and freedom.
hmm
And it's great. Actually, the schools are great. My kids are in
hmm
fantastic schools. And I don't have seasonal depression.
Yeah.
I don't I like running errands. It's
hmm
it's even on a cold, well, not a cold, but on a winter day, I'm like, yeah, I'll go to Home Depot. Like, why not? Like, then roll down the windows.
62
It's
degrees. I'm not going to sweat while I do it.
Yeah, and that's a freezing winter, and the worst, I got to put on socks or a pair of pants or something. So yeah, I really, I wish I woke up to Florida a lot sooner.
Mhm.
Yeah, I mean, it's my son. He's doing fantastic in school. School's amazing, but it was interesting. They taught him the reason the rest of the country hates Florida is because the rest of the country is racist, and Florida has non-English roots. And but it was so fascinating to me to hear sort of like because I know up north like they make fun of Florida and there's a lot of propaganda and a lot of misconceptions from just not just around COVID and Florida man and how everything was
Mhm.
handled in politics, but just yeah, it's all old people, the schools are horrible, it's too hot and all these things. And it was interesting to hear like sort of like what the community is trying to how that community is trying to explain it to the natives and the locals and the
Mhm.
transients or whoever's living here, like how they interpret that message. Like, why is everyone making fun of us? And I'm not saying that's great or that's not
Mm.
propaganda, and whatever,
Yeah.
but it's just it is a reflection on something that is out there.
Mhm.
But I've had an amazing time here. Look, I mean, at the same time, I'm new here as a resident, and I'm getting used to it. I reserve the right to hate it tomorrow and leave, but I'm loving it, and it's great. I want to explore more of it. It's paradise. It's tropical. I mean, I can go on and on, but I would love what it's done for my kids.
Mhm.
Because if it was just about what it was for me, then we wouldn't have stayed or, something like that. I mean, I did one of the reasons I wanted to come was to get to spend more time with my dad. And
Mhm.
I think in a lot of ways he stayed on just long enough for me to be here for my mom.
Mhm.
And that's important. But like if Florida wasn't right for us, I would get my mom to move out with us and go somewhere else. And if
Mhm.
America, maybe we'd move further south to El Salvador. Like we don't have to stay. That's what I like about the optionality. But
Mhm.
I keep saying that Florida, it seems to me to be the best state to be an American and to be a Bitcoiner right now. And a lot of that is like a very single, very, DeSantis won by 28,000 votes, and I'm not a Republican or a Democrat, but like I like the way he handled things after on a few issues that were the most important to me in my life at the time, and then throw
Mhm.
in the weather and everything else. Florida, some people say it's not that great. It's a peninsula, and where you're gonna go, like nuclear bombs and this, that, and the other. It doesn't have sort of what you might get in Boise, Idaho, and inland and all this and everything has its pros and cons. But
Mhm.
I'm super happy. And I think that even just the communities here, just been for Bitcoin, like when I was in Chicago, like, you go to a meetup and uh, if people went, like it almost felt like there was too many people. And the people that were there in terms of talent, speakers or whatever, like you couldn't get near them or you couldn't interact. And here it's just like everyone's on the same level. It's everyone's working together, collaborating, building things. Things are happening. I don't feel like there's different levels or like you're outside of it or you're a visitor. Like everyone's kind of in it, and
Mhm.
things are just percolating. So,
Yeah.
and I mean, a lot of people talk about Austin and Dallas, but those are landlocked and they don't have the weather of Florida. Um, and that was another thing. I mean, I didn't want to just go where all the other Bitcoiners were going in some way. I was like, oh, cool. I didn't go to Miami, and then Miami has a lot. I
Yeah.
mean, that's the thing.
If you went to Miami, you probably would have left.
Florida's a huge state, and there's so much to offer. And there's Miami, there's Tampa, there's Orlando. These are big hubs, and then there's growing cities like Jacksonville and Tallahassee. I was just up at the World Cubing Association. My son's into cubing now, so we drove to
Mm.
Tallahassee. A couple weeks ago, we went to Jacksonville, and then there's like just go out into the no man's land, get some land, or do whatever you want here. So I'm thrilled to bits. I can go on and on about Florida. It's been tremendous. I'm a refugee from the north now, and I don't want to go back. I don't
Yeah.
think I could do below 60 degrees. I
Yeah,
love
no, yeah, once you get acclimated.
I love the merch you have on the website. I want a Bitcoin Bay hoodie. That thing is the bomb, and I can't wait till we get our Bitcoin Bay jerseys from Hodler's Official.
Yes.
That shit looks dope. So, Wes, this has been fantastic. Everyone knows now where they can find you, and if they're not in Florida and they're not in Tampa Bay area, get involved in your local area. Like, it's one of the reasons I wanted to have you on the show is this connection in real life, this community building, the culture. It to your point, money is a tool. You can sort of like a hammer. You can build things with a hammer. You can wreck and destroy things with a hammer. Same thing with money. So it's getting together in real life. So thank you so much, man. It's been great.
Yeah, thank you, Cedric. And you said it best. Everyone, get your butts down here. We'll have a good time.
You got it. We'll have such a great time. Thank you so much.
Thanks for having us.
Hey. That's a wrap on today's episode of the Bitcoin Matrix podcast with Wesley Schlemmer from the Bitcoin Bay Foundation. I hope that you found it as informative and enlightening as I did. Hit us up. We'd love to hear your feedback and see you at the Sound Money Soiree. Finally, if you could write a 5-star review for the Bitcoin Matrix podcast wherever you listen to your pods, that would really help get the word out and help new listeners find the show. Keep building, keep stacking, and always stay laser focused out there. This is Cedric. Peace.